Mike and Shaun with Talking Tickets here, talking about the $100,000 ticket sale, collecting rookie tickets, and much, much more. Shaun,
what's up, Mike?
How's your world?
Going pretty well. How about you?
Pretty good. I was other than Ice Mageddon here in Texas. It's,
I heard the weather's pretty rough down there.
Snowed in, but I filled my time quite a bit for all the people out there. Me, Shaun, and Justin completed a monster 3-way trade, which we'll talk about next week once we have all the tickets in hand.
So we're gonna have Justin on again. I think that was part of his motivation for doing that deal with us. He wanted to have a 3-way trade that we could all get together and show what we got and talk through it and everything. That'll be fun, though.
And then maybe one day we'll get Lenny on. One day.
One of these days. So you got $100,000 ticket sale. I thought the days of those types of sales were
this one was so obvious. Like, I mean, you saw it coming from so easily, right? It was such an obvious sale.
Well, what do you so go over it?
Let's break it down a little bit. So the $100,000 ticket sale is I can't really say it without laughing. The President Kennedy's birthday party in Sotheby's. Now, what are the odds that you would have came up that was the ticket you would think would go for $94,500?
Yeah.
So give me your thoughts when you first saw this sale.
I have a lot of thoughts on it, but just to answer that previous question, we've had some tickets come up since early last year. Remember, at the peak of the bubble when everything was $100,000. We've had some that should have probably been $100,000, but didn't even come close in the last Heritage auction. There was a couple that were really good, but yeah, I wouldn't have thought this. Primarily, so I have a couple reasons why this is kind of a weird sale, a weird price for this ticket. One is because, whether you like it or not, for whatever reason, sports memorabilia commands a much higher premium than political memorabilia or Americana or even music memorabilia. It just does. There's more people that collect it. People are willing to spend a lot of money for it. There's a bidding war on a lot of stuff that's really rare. And so for this, given that it's not even sports related, it's just really surprising to see that kind of value on it. What are your thoughts?
Well, when I saw it initially, it said, when I saw it up for auction, I was like, oh, okay, cool ticket. Then I saw the guesstimate, the Sotheby's estimate on the sale price was, I don't know if I can find that estimate, but they had it, estimate right there, 80 to 100,000. I said to myself, how in God's name do they come up with that estimate, given there's never been anything close to that sale? If you look at the history, as David Rory points out, 4 raw stubs of the varying condition of the JFK-62 tickets sold in separate listings on eBay between 400 to 1,200 each since December. I'm glad you brought that up, David, because I found them. So, you got a beat up raw for 400. You got another beat up raw for 700. Another beat up raw for 475. So these are, beat the hell.
Yeah.
But you expect a little more if the best one's going to go for 90. And then I went to Worth Point and found a bunch. So this one back in 2018, a real nice one, full. So here's another one out there that's probably of equal condition.
That's not the same one, is it?
No.
$1,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another full graded. This was in the golden auction in 2022. This one was a full good with a mark. So, you're getting some numbers that you're like, okay, this is a 4-figure ticket, $4,000, which was a 2 with a mark from 2022 last year. And here's another nice one with a section, no row, no seat that went for $8,000 in Julian's. I don't know how accurate that was. I tried to find it on Julian's, but that kind of gives you an idea. And now Scott makes another point I was going to pull up. He goes, that ticket is Ravel's. The only bid was a pre-bid before the auction. There was no bids during the live auction. So I don't know. I'll take his word for it, but it just doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah. Well, here's another point. Here's another point to chew on regarding the stubs and all that stuff. And I've often been asked, what is the ratio in value between a stub and a full? And I think a general idea, and this is really, really general, is like 4-to-1. In other words, a full ticket is usually worth 4 times what a stub is worth. All things being equal. Obviously, there's tons of variables you have to consider, and sometimes it's not true. Sometimes it's 5-to-1, 6-to-1, even 7-to-1. Sometimes it's just 3-to-1. But in this case, given those sales on eBay, you're looking at like 200-to-1. And the stub value versus the full.
And then even if you, that Julian's one was weird. I liked the other one that was, was a worth point, the golden one. Okay, the golden peak bubble-ish time, $4,000, a 2. All right. Yeah. 10, you want 10 times that. Now we're at 40. Because I think we talked about this, said, if you asked me what it would go for, I said, all right, maybe 15, 20 if things that'd be a really nice, awesome sale. And then when I saw the estimate, I was like, you know what? This ticket's going to go for the estimate, because Sotheby's does not want to put an estimate out there and get embarrassed. And it comes in 4 times less. Yeah. And Ravel is a smart damn guy. Some people don't like him. I think he's a good, from what I've been around him, he's a good dude. He's really smart. And Sotheby's promoted this and made that video. I was like, that ticket somehow, some way is going to find a way to get near that estimate. And just all that being, if you had a buyer and he got that sale, I mean, more power to him.
Oh, absolutely.
But it just does not sit well when I see that.
Right. There's something fishy about it, or just
something weird. Something's off,
so to speak. It's like it's a statistical anomaly is what. And anytime you run into a statistical anomaly, you really just kind of have to throw it out as if you're looking to comp something or whatever. But yeah, like you said, if that's legit and Ravel got that kind of money for it, that's amazing. Good for him. Yeah. He figured something out. It's
kind of interesting if you actually have something rare and unique that is super high end. Is it smart now maybe to try to put something on these non-sports type auction houses like Sotheby's that cater more to fine art and other type of memorabilia?
Yeah. It seems like that's what Ravel is doing, maying
right? Because
but it makes sense.
Because now he has this one up, so obviously they have some kind of I'll give you X amount, or if you do X amount of promotion, which is that Brady Bledsoe, not good timing with the retirement. I don't like the Ticketmaster version, but it's got the auto. It's a 10. They have a more realistic estimate, 10 to 20K, which I think is fair. I think it's worth more on the lower end. Current bid 8K. That seems. I see that and I'm like, okay, that seems more normal.
That's at least within reason. Yeah, especially with the autograph on there, because there's comps that you can point to and say, yeah, that makes sense at least.
Right. And Scott P said, sorry, the opening bid was 75K for that, which is like, seriously, 75 just didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Opening bid was 75 and one person bid on it, and with the buyer's premium, and it turned out 95.
Right. So it's kind of like maybe Sotheby's go to Ravel like, hey, we got a huge JFK collector. We'd love to get this in here. We make money. You make money. The guy gets us. I don't know. Who knows how that all went down, or if it was just a blind.
That's a world that I'm not privy to, and that's the high end art, and you get a room full of people with deep pockets. What is it to them?
Right. And these auction houses, they know people who collect certain things that tip them off like, hey, we have the best. This is the best version of the JFK. This guy might have the dress Marilyn Monroe wore and be multi-millionaire, billionaire type and be like, well, what's
Right.
90K?
And then the other thing is that we kind of sometimes forget because we're so engrossed in this world is that a lot of people don't have any clue about the ticket market and what something's
Right.
worth. And they they don't take the time to learn about it because it does take some effort. And most people are that way probably. So
So
yeah.
we're gonna see your tickets on Sotheby's here in the next year.
Well, if I do decide to sell, then maybe that's the I don't know. We'll see. So
But yeah, that was just a interesting one that kind of had the ticket community talking, and we're laughing, saying, well, we'll probably see about a dozen of these tickets hit the auction houses in the next 6 months.
it would make sense. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that it's going to be another Pele World Cup debut type?
I mean, if you have one and you're like, how do you not send it to the auction house? If you see somebody sold it for 90K and you're think, hell, if I get half that, they probably bought it for less than $1,000, maybe.
Yeah.
They're probably going to get not as good, but we just saw 2 or 3 that look just as nice that are fulls. So it's not like this is a 101.
Right. And the other thing on that is that the scarcity. I know that the auction house and Ravel and maybe others pointed to that there's maybe 4 graded, and that's I think kind of well, obviously what PSA is graded is not an indication of how many are out there. First, I pointed that out many times, but you should know that. But I'd say that's even less the case when it's not a sports related item, because non-sports collectors aren't as inclined to get stuff slabbed by PSA. Right. It's more of a sports collectible thing to do. Mm-hmm. You collect cards, you get into tickets. It's a natural progression to get your tickets graded also. But if you're a Americana collector or a political collector, getting stuff graded just isn't really something you necessarily think about. So there's probably a lot more out there than you would think, given its significance. And it is a significant event, right? Like the historical significance of it is pretty big.
And it, for me, it kind of touches all the buttons too with the look mm-hmm. of the ticket. It's got the JFK's face on it. It's got the red and blue stripe. I mean, it is a really, nice looking ticket that
it is really
catches your eye.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it obviously appealed to at least one person at that price. Ravel sniffed it out. So good for him.
Ravel, 90K. We salute you.
Yeah. This is crazy.
Another thing I wanted to touch upon that I've noticed quite a bit lately, about a year or 2 ago, debut tickets were kind of the hot thing, and it got caught up in the bubble and prices got crazy. And recently I've been noticing a lot of talk or people saying, hey, I'm collecting this type of ticket. And I think you are, what's your, tell us about your new collecting hobby.
The rookie year ticket. So Jackie Robinson's rookie year, 1947, I'm trying to complete the set. I want to get every ticket from that season.
And I've noticed quite a bit, people looking for Jordan rookie season tickets. I've heard a lot about Jackie, famous players. It seems like rookie season tickets, it doesn't have to be the season ticket version, are super popular if you're really into that player.
Yeah.
And when you brought up the Jackie, I was like, wow, I've heard that from other people saying, I want to collect all the Jackie 47s or, any top-notch player.
Yeah.
What is it about the rookie season you think that is such a draw? Just the fact that's year number 1?
Yeah, I think that, well, for me, it's part of the fun of ticket collecting is the chase, like trying to find something that's elusive and you finally find it, and it's the thrill of the hunt, basically. I think that a lot of people appreciate that about ticket collecting. And so if you have a certain set that you're collecting, it's it kind of gives you the ability to pursue that all the time. And so that's kind of the appeal for me. And then the rookie season is the season that is probably most valuable in terms of resale and being able to liquidate if you needed to and that kind of thing. So it makes sense. But other people collect other things. Sometimes it's somebody's home run runs, all their wins, Nolan Ryan wins or Ken Griffey Jr. home runs or whatever the case may be. Finding a set that you're really into gives you the ability to always be searching for that, the next elusive ticket that you haven't seen in years or you haven't been able to find. And you find it and it's that thrill, and it's not super expensive. It's like you don't have to break the bank to find a random Ken Griffey Jr. home run, So I think that's a lot of the appeal. It's like set collecting. Back in the day with baseball cards, let's say you wanted to be a baseball card set collector. You just go on eBay and you can complete it in a couple of hours, as long as you're willing to pay for it. And in a lot of cases, you can just buy a box and the set's already in it, complete. So it's not, and then modern cards, there's no sets anymore. I don't think they do. I think they do sets, but nobody collects sets. So this is a way to do that. And it's fun because a lot of times they're hard to find. So.
Yeah, it kind of, when I heard about people doing that kind of collecting, it was almost the opposite feeling I got from that JFK sale. I was like, man, that's what, it's kind of about, is collecting sets, finding things that you're really passionate about, not buying things to try to sell to somebody else later down the road, but somebody you're a super fan of. I'm like, man, I'm just going to collect all LeBron's rookie tickets. And I'm like, man, I should probably like to collect all maybe Dirk's rookie season tickets. I haven't thought about something like that. Another thing I found is like, Jordan collectors, trying to collect all the NBA Finals games. I've had a couple where a guy hit me up, and those are things I don't think are really going to go down in value. But if I see somebody that's super passionate about it, I kind of want to help them complete their collection, because I'm not collecting that. I just thought, these tickets were a good value, and it's Michael Jordan. It's equivalent of having Babe Ruth World Series tickets. Who wouldn't want a game World Series he played in? Something, equivalent to that.
Yeah, and for me, it's finding a set that I know is like that it will always have value, because it's hard for me to justify spending any significant amount of money on a ticket that I know is not worth it. And so that's the delicate balance. If I were to go out and say, okay, I want to find every Edgar Martinez home run, none of them are really worth anything except for maybe his first one, and that's not even worth that much. But I would have to spend a lot to get them, and then I would have a collection that really didn't have a lot of value if I broke it up. But so finding a set that, if I did break it up, or there would be other people out there looking for the same thing, so it would have value. That's the challenge, and that's why I like the Jackie Robinson's first season, and that's why Jordan's first season is appealing, and Kobe Bryant and LeBron. So
yeah. So any newbies out there, if you're like, oh, what should I collect, man? Like, who's your favorite player?
Yeah,
go after his rookie year, or maybe all his NBA Finals or all his playoff tickets. Seems like an easy starting point to kind of get into the hobby.
So what about you? What are you getting into? Anything?
The historic moments.
Yeah, the high-end valuable stuff. Sure.
The fun, the games wish I was at, because I was thinking about this the other day about a game like the Heidi game, where the Raiders game got canceled. I was like, well, I know it's kind of it can be a ticket somebody wants, but it's like, I don't really want that ticket, because people in the stadium had no idea what was going on. I want to be a ticket where I was like, man, if I was at that game, I'd be losing my freaking mind. Like if I was at the Cal Stanford, the band is out on the field game. Yeah. I want a ticket from somebody who was at that going, holy hell, what did I just witness?
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of feel the same way because there are a lot of, like the Ferris Bueller game, where people who actually went to that game, they had no concept for what it was, what was occurring. So it's kind of nice to think about somebody held that ticket at the game. They witnessed what the historical event was. And so, that makes
sense. You could say the same thing about debut tickets, because, it was a kind of non-eventful game. Tom Brady came out on the field and did mop-up duty against the Lions, but it is kind of historical because, hey, this was the first time he ever stepped on an NFL field.
Yeah, or Joe Montana held
that
an extra point.
Montana came out and did this and then ran off the field.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's the one, because when I think of debuts and the significance of it, I think from the player's perspective, that is probably their most significant moment in their career, unless they won a championship, maybe. But say for the championship, it probably is their most significant moment, their debut. In terms of for baseball, for sure, if it was like an at bat. But in that case, I don't think that if somebody asked Joe Montana what is most significant, forget his Super Bowl rings, but what is the most significant moment, I don't think it would be when he went out and held an extra point.
No, but that's kind of such a weird one. But I'm sure if you ask any professional player, hey, tell me about your first game or your first at bat, they'll probably almost remember every little detail about
every pitch, and how they felt and
how nervous they were. I remember hearing about a story about one of the baseball players, and he was afraid people in the stadium were going to see his knees shaking when he was in the batter's box because he was so nervous. I think it was a former Ranger I was talking to, because he was literally that nervous as first big league at bat.
Yeah. Yeah. So no matter what you say about what happened in the game, it definitely has a historical significance to the player, which is,
So
important.
right now you're still baseball debuts and Jackie 47s.
Yeah. And Mariner stuff.
And Mariners. That's right.
But
how many 47s do you have right now?
I have 6, and I actually picked up a couple. We can jump into what we picked up since we're on that, but I picked up a couple, and I have them here. One, this one I picked up on. This was actually 47, so first time caught stealing, but it was one of those on Heritage that you can make an offer. So I made an offer and they accepted it, sent it in. So I got that one. And then this one was an eBay win that I got September 5th. It's Giants road game. And that one I actually used Gixen for the first time.
Oh, tell me about your Gixen experience.
Yeah. So I was out of town. I didn't have cell phone service.
For those who don't know, Gixen, basically Gixen, will basically auto bid for you. So if you want a ticket, you want to win on eBay, and you basically can't be in front of your computer at the start. So basically, let me see if I can pull this up. So here it is, Gixen.com. Basically, is what it says. It's the free eBay auction sniper service where you can go in, you go to eBay, you find a listing. So you find the ID number, then you go to Gixen, and then you put it back in. Like, so say you want to snipe on something. Here's a couple ones that I've looked at that I'm interested in, some random things. But you go in and you say, oh, I want to make a snipe. Well, basically you put the number in, like down here, then you put your bid in, and then it automatically will bid at the last minute for you.
Yeah. And so I always do snipe bids. I never bid early. And by the way, anybody who bids early, stop that. It makes no sense to bid early. Do snipe bids, do Gixen, sit at your phone when it ends. That's what I always did. And because I always had the attitude that if I couldn't make it a priority to do that, to be available when it ended, then I didn't really need it. But in this case, I did need that. And so I signed up for an account, filled it out, super easy. And I tested it on a different one that I didn't really care because I want to make sure it worked. And I lost the bid, which I wanted to lose. But then, so this one came up and I won it. And then I used it for another one. So this was an auction that got some traction. This is Dennis Eckersley's debut. And I already have an Eckersley, but saw this one. It was in a group of tickets and it wasn't called out. I don't know if you saw it, but
no. I think I may have heard something about it.
Yeah. So I did Gixen again with that one, and I won that too. So that's my second Dennis Eckersley debut.
Oh, number 2, loading up.
Number two, yeah, I'm getting to the point where I just have to duplicate them. I'm hoping for to find a trading partner at some point.
Do you have somebody else that you know that collects MLB debuts strictly?
Yeah, there's a couple. There's a couple big collectors that make my collection look pretty shabby, but they already have everything. So it's hard to make deals with them. Although I have made deals with them, so it's not impossible. But yeah, what I need is somebody else who is just getting into it and has, something I need. And eventually I'll post. I have 5 or 6 really good duplicates that I need to try to trade for something. But
You gotta have to get Scott rolling now.
yeah, I need Scott Rowland. I don't have Scott Rowland. So, and that should be an easier one
For
to
all
find.
the Cardinals fans, I'm sorry, but I never thought Scott Rowland was a Hall of Famer when I watched him play. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that.
Yeah, because I guess I'm not like the purest of all purists, but I really like how the Baseball Hall of Fame is the truly is the hardest one to get into. I mean, they're strict.
Yeah.
But, if they're gonna let Scott Rowland in now, are they gonna start letting? It's gonna be like the NFL. And
well, there's a couple things on that.
Yes.
So do you know the difference between the NFL and NBA and Major
I know
League?
the NFL does 5 every year, no matter what, right?
I don't know how they decide, but the fundamental
Minimum 5
difference
every
is
year.
that Major League Baseball, the Hall of Fame is not associated with Major League Baseball. It's a completely separate entity, completely separate, not they have no connection to one another. And so they can do whatever they want. Major League Baseball can't say anything about it.
Right.
Whereas football and basketball, their Hall of Fames are connected to the league. So it benefits them to put guys in, the more guys.
Every year they're going to have people in.
They want to have the ceremony. And whereas baseball can have the embarrassing situation, which happens periodically, where they don't have anybody elected.
Right.
And it almost happened this time because Scott Rowland barely made it. But so that's why it's more exclusive in baseball. And I agree. I think that it should be. But if you look at it historically, there's lots of players who are on par or way worse than Scott Rowland, going all the way back to the early days. And you can look up their stats and you see that this guy's a Hall of Famer, never heard of him. Look at his numbers, and it's just mediocre at best. And so you wonder, well, why is he in the Hall of Fame? And so it's not uncommon to get Scott Rowland. Not everybody is, Mariano Rivera. And so you get a lot of Scott Rowlands in there, and that's just kind of how it is. But I agree. I prefer the smaller hall, where it's just the really big superstars, but that's how it ends up.
Well, just like Darren Ravel, Scott Rowland. We salute you.
Yeah, right. So I actually have one more that I got. This is a really cool one. This is on May 2nd, 1954. Stan Musial hit 5 home runs in a doubleheader, and this is a ticket to that date.
Oh, nice. Where'd you get that one at?
This one I got on eBay. It was actually Lenny. Lenny sold it.
Was it auction?
No, he just had it for sale, and I contacted him directly and got a deal done. So that I've never seen that one before. It's plenty of players have hit 4 home runs in a game, but Stan Musial hit 5 in a doubleheader, and that's a one-day record. Yeah, probably that'll never be broken. But yeah, that's the first time I've ever seen that one. Vintage baseball. So that's
the vintage baseball's on fire tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I wish I had some more pickups. I know I showed. Oh, I do have a pickup. You're gonna be very excited about this one. Brock Lesnar's WWF debut, Shaun. Are you excited?
Never heard of him.
Come on, Brock Lesnar even is an MMA guy. You have to have heard of him.
I've heard of the name. I've heard of the name, but yeah, that doesn't appeal to me. Where'd you get that?
It was one of the smaller auctions like Hunt, or I think maybe in Hunt auctions. I can't remember which one. It was like $200. I was like, man, Brock Lesnar is kind of a name. And it was his debut, and it's WWE. And I was like, well, I'll put in one of those low bids, and it won. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah, good for the collection.
To trade for the Musial, the Lesnar for the Musial.
Yeah, no, I'll pass on that. That's great. I don't know if that's going to make the top 100.
Does the mutual go for substantially more than the 200 I paid, or what? I mean, what does something like that go for?
Yeah, it's substantial. I mean, you can imagine it's not so the the his you know that there's a lot of historic baseball collectors out there that love the
Right.
history of the game and want tickets
Baseball
that
is the number one
yeah,
ticket collecting sport.
yeah. And so, yeah, I was surprised that it was there. And then when I contacted Lenny, it was, pretty easy to make a deal with him. He's a good guy and easy to deal
What's his
with.
eBay handle again?
Buckner.
Buckner.
Yeah. And so if you ever see anything, I periodically look at his stuff and then just see what he has. I think I have him as a seller saved because I know that if I contact him directly on any of the stuff, I can get it for a discount and, quickly. And he's really good. So
Do you play the games ever where I don't know if we talked about this last week, where people will contact you and say, "Hey, text me outside of eBay," or I mean, you don't sell much on eBay, but do you get that much when you are making offers where people say, "Hey, hit me up. Here's my cell."
I don't know, not really. But I think I've gotten to the point where I know enough sellers of the big sellers and I know who they are. So I'll just contact them directly if I see something I want. Or I've
Right.
bought from them before. If you've bought from somebody before, a lot of times you can figure out what their email is, or their contact information because they sent it to you. They'll send a card or something like that. But no, I haven't. It's weird that used to be the standard, right? Like 4 or 5 years ago, I would never buy anything on eBay from the person. I would always contact them and ask them to do it off eBay if I could. A lot of times they
Right.
decline, but that was kind of a standard thing to do. But since eBay's cracked down on that so much, I think everybody's so afraid to get kicked off or fined or whatever the penalty is. What is the penalty anyway?
I don't know. They'll probably slap you on the wrist and make you pay the fees and tell you don't do it again. I mean, I never got in trouble, but I've had I don't. If I sell something and I don't know the guy, I won't do something. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
they'll find me. But if they contact me and say I'm selling this, let's do it off eBay, then heck, man, if we're gonna save money, I want
Yeah.
to do it off eBay. Obviously, I'd love to do all deals off eBay because they don't call it FeeBay for nothing. And now,
Yeah.
if you're a buyer, you're paying sales tax.
Mm-hmm.
You're paying a premium
Yeah.
to get that ticket, and so it cuts both ways. The seller
Yeah.
and the buyer get hit. But if you are a seller of tickets, if you buy and resell a lot of stuff, you can get a sales tax basically permit, a reseller's permit where you don't have to pay the sales tax. Whenever I buy anything on eBay, I don't pay sales tax because they have it in their system that I'm a verified through the state of Texas. My sales tax,
Yeah.
I pay sales tax on sales and stuff like that. So that's like a nice way to get around paying that sales tax.
Yeah. Because presumably it's
Right.
part.
I'm selling it again. So
Mhm.
I'm going to collect the sales tax when I sell it.
Yeah.
And eBay, so I don't have to get charged twice. I don't have to pay sales tax once and then sell to somebody else and make them pay sales tax.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
a nice
Makes
little
sense.
loophole. But yeah, we're talking about Buckner. Man, I haven't really looked at his at Lenny's, but good night. 11,000. Was on for days. This is how this man, one day we'll get him on and hear about. I need to know. I just need to know the operation. 11,000.
Yeah. Well, he does. It's a two-person team. Him and his wife handle the whole thing, and they work together apparently well. He says that when he comes on the show, he wants his wife there too. So we're gonna have both of them on. So it'll be a good discussion, I think. So yeah, but every once in a while he has something really good on there, and I
Yeah, we
look.
need people like that. We need the Justin Sutterfields, the Gidez 32s, the Lennys, the Buckners of the world, man. Because they make the market liquid and they help you find things that you're looking for. They go out and they see something of super great value, then they buy it and they're like, oh, I know somebody who would want this. And then you're excited to get hit up. You get your
Right.
ticket and they get a little profit, and everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Almost like market makers.
Like, we've talked about this before, where in the ticket collecting world, the people are so friendly and welcoming that, and I think that that's the primary reason why, is because in order to find the stuff that you really want, you have to connect with other people and build a network and make friends and everything to be able to find it. So you have to be friendly. The people who come from cards who just aren't, aren't good personalities or good people, they kind of get weeded out fast, I think.
How deep did you go into cards prior to tickets, and are you still into cards at all?
I'm not. I sold all my cards, but at one point I did have the 1986 Fleer basketball set and PSA 10 complete. So that's how
you were.
That kind of gives you an idea. Yeah,
a real deal card collector at one time.
Yeah, I was.
And then what happened to that collection?
I sold it.
Would you sell it?
Sold the whole thing. That one I broke up and sold on PWCC back when they were on eBay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why'd you sell it?
Why? Well, because I was underwater in it for so many years, because I completed it way back in like 2015, I think. So they weren't as valuable then, but then it went down in value by quite a bit for a long time. And then the COVID and all that hit, and it went up in value. So I wanted to get rid of it. So I made some money.
So when you were doing that collection, were you buying them all graded, or were you buying some hoping they'd be 10s?
I was buying them all graded. I did crack a few. I cracked a few from BGS that were quad 9.5s and sent those in. And it was about 50-50 whether they would come back at 10 or not.
So between 2015 and COVID, why do you think the dip happened?
Because that's how things are normally. Like it used to be like this, and then like this, and then it hit COVID, and it just went insane.
And nuclear.
Then it came back down, and now it's back to just this.
Right.
That's how things were back then. You bought something and it didn't go up in value. It would stay the same. Over the course of years, it might go up in value, but not months or weeks. That was
right. You think we're way more closer to that, or way more closer to the COVID-y weirdness?
I still think we're in the COVID-y weirdness.
Oh,
honestly.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think we're back to normal yet.
So animal spirits are still thriving.
Yeah, I do. In the big picture.
Right.
But most people aren't looking at it in the big picture. They're looking at it in the little window of COVID to now. And so, but I think it applies to tickets too. It's not as dramatic with tickets like we talked about, but it's sort of the same kind of thing. We're still in that bubbly time, I think.
How long do you think until that we get back to that more time?
I think it's 2 to 3 years.
So you think?
I'll explain why. Do you want me to explain why?
Yeah, well, I like this. I want to hear.
So the whole card boom thing happens every 30 to 35 years. And you can go all the way back to the Cracker Jack era, the 19 teens. And every 30 to 35 years is a generational thing. In the 50s, it happened. There was a huge boom. Everybody loved baseball cards. And then again in the 80s, in early 90s, everybody loved baseball cards. And now again, 30 to 35 years later, it happened again, 2020. Everybody loves sports cards again. So it's like a cyclical thing. And then so you can map out when it hit. If you look at it that way, you can map out exactly, what year 2020 was compared to the last boom in the 80s. And I think 2020 was about 1990.
Right.
So by 1993, which is where we're at now, we're in 1993, things were just about to fall apart, but they were still like really hyped. And then by 95, it was gone. Nobody liked it.
It's kind of funny because I basically started collecting baseball cards. I remember our first cards I can remember were like 85, 86. So I was about super young, but I had an older brother. So I could piggyback, but remember like being insanely into it, like the 89, 90, 91 sets, like the 89 Pro set. I think that was, or the 91, whatever the Troy Aikman, Barry Sanders years
Yeah.
were.
I think it was 90, wasn't it?
And then I held on to about 92. And then about 93, I was basically out. And I remember thinking, not much longer after, like, what happened? Like, it stopped.
Yeah.
It was so weird.
It
And
did.
I don't know if it was because I was older. And now I was like, 13, 14, more into girls and other things. And I was just kind of checked out on cards. But it kind of went from going to card shows every weekend to card shops to basically no interest. Any interest.
Yeah, absolutely. I was the same way. And by 95, it was a nerdy thing to do. Right. And so I think we're at that same point. We're at 1993 now. And by 2025, that's when it will be back to just this.
Right. Just the hardcore. I love
this. Oh, yeah. The collectors will still be there. Same with tickets. They'll still be there and they'll still be buying their stuff and doing their thing. But there won't be this just gigantic,
the pumper, the Instagram pumpers shows. And
so using that strategy, the long play would be to wait till 2025 and then start buying. Give it a couple of decades, and then you're going to be sitting on a bankroll. So that's my.
I like it. I like it a lot. So all you people, don't buy anything until 2025.
Yeah,
and then load up.
Yeah, and keep buying for 20 years. Trust me, it'll pay off.
Get all your ML debuts and your Jackie 47s and hit up this man.
Yeah.
All right, I like it. A couple other things I want to touch on. I may try to incorporate the eBay buy of the week, because I think like every week or every show there's somebody who buys something. I'm like, damn, that guy got the steal of a deal.
Okay, this is good.
Like that? Okay.
Yeah.
This one looks ridiculous, but I'm telling you, this could be a 5-figure ticket if you actually auction this off on Heritage or somewhere. So this is basically UFC 1, which I've been looking for years. Since I started collecting, I've been looking for UFC 1, the very first UFC, which was a ridiculous, if anybody remembers it, basically it was like tournament style, no weight classes, no rules, like insanity. There's a great podcast I listen to. I'm sure there'll be other things you could find, but it's so basic. And all it is just UFC, Ultimate Fighting Championship, Nichols Arena, first one.
Wow.
And I don't know if I've ever really seen one.
What year was it?
Man, that's a good question on the ticket. So UFC 1 had to have been about 20 years ago, I would guess.
Really?
Let me see. UFC 1.
Wow. So this
1993. So yeah, 20 years ago.
And back then it wasn't nearly as hyped as it is now, right?
It was kind of a pay-per-view thing. That was just kind of this, like, what are they doing? And hardcore fighter dudes, or just anybody wanted to see something crazy. Like, look, and this is one of the matches. Like, and one of the Gracie brothers was the one who won it, and he was this little dude that do jujitsu, and everybody's like, no way, this little dude's gonna beat all these guys, and he did. And Ken Shamrock was in it, and it was just this wild ass.
Now, when this happened, was it something you were paying attention to then, or you just learned about it?
It was something I kind of knew of, and you would see little commercials for it on pay-per-view and be like, what? They're just putting all these dudes and they're just going to go no holds barred. It's like the movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme. That's what made you think of the Kumite, the blood sport. I was like, this is like a real life blood sport. This is unbelievable. They're just throwing these guys in a ring and saying, go at it.
Yeah.
And never in a million years would you think it would turn into what it is today, this multi-billion business.
Yeah.
And it was the first one, and the guy posted about it on Facebook and basically said, somebody posted it that just put UFC 1 ticket stub. That's it. 4 words. Like, obviously not the most skilled eBay seller. You want to put as many words as you can that describes the product. So if somebody's looking for it, it's more likely to pop up.
Yeah.
Look, this crap picture of it, because it's a crappy looking ticket, put a 2,000 best offer, thinking, damn, if I put 2,000 get anywhere close, I'm taking it. And somebody just bought it for 2K.
Oh yeah.
And it's probably, my guess, it's 5 to 10K ticket. It could be more, put it in an auction, get the right.
Well, I wonder what the attendance at something like that was. And I think one of the tells is how crappy the ticket looks.
Right.
Like, it's not the JFK one with his face on it and all fancy colors. It's just it's garbage. It is literally garbage that somebody just held on to, not thinking anything.
Right. It looks like more of these may pop up because people may have kept them and don't know. You got this great sealed copy of UFC 1 on VHS tip goes for big bucks, which I can believe because it's a wild ass event that happened. I meant to look up. I know if I can find the PSA pop report on something like this, but it just shows you like you can find deals out there on eBay, and I love seeing these crazy like.
Yeah, I hate looking at those.
Because I've been looking, I got them in my list, but I have those saved searches. Actually, David Roy said best offer shows 1,700. Like, why even play?
Somebody negotiated it. Yeah, man, I'm always hesitant to do that because that it's not going to be on there long.
Right, something that is the first that I think hardcore collectors would want.
Yeah,
but so you see those and you're like, oh, I kind of feel that way too. But on this one, I was like, damn, dude. And I think I liked it too because the guy who posted about it on Booger Stubs said he's hardcore MMA collector, fighting collector, and it's going to his PC and you'll never see it again. I'd rather see somebody like that win it than somebody that's like, sweet, I'll buy this and put it in Heritage and call it a day.
Yeah, like you would have done.
Oh, I would have held on to that. I wouldn't have flipped that one.
Yeah.
I know somebody who would though.
Yeah, Justin.
But I don't even see any graded any of those. So like it truly would be a graded one-on-one.
See, I wonder what the attendance was because it's probably in a small arena and maybe 10,000.
Let's take a look. My guess is probably about 7,800.
Yeah. See, that tells the whole story right there. I mean, 7,800 compared to like a Super Bowl where it's 78,000. Imagine that. 10 times as many people at a Super Bowl.
For this ugly looking little piece of paper with a cut and scrapes all on it.
Yeah. To me, that makes it more appealing because it's so anonymous that most people would have definitely thrown it away.
Right. So, man, I feel like I'm giving salutes everywhere to the guy who bought that ticket because that's one that, you're not going to see very many of those. I think there's one like UFC might have one, if they have like a memorabilia showcase somewhere. I've seen something like that, but that's like the only one I've seen of it. I didn't probably check out Worth Point to see.
Yeah, it's always frustrating, and that's why I hate looking at past sales because if you see something that you'll never see again, and you missed it, that's a bummer.
Yeah, and it's gone. This one was talked about a little bit, and we don't know if it really a sale that went through. It was a Barry Sanders debut, signed, authentic 10, went for 10K, which sounds ridiculous, but
I'm not really familiar with the population on the Barry Sanders debut. I know I haven't seen many.
Pretty rare.
Yeah.
You don't see them come up. And it's kind of I hate the style where it's like the road team and it's got another player on it. So personally for me, I love Barry Sanders, but this ticket really doesn't get me very excited. But it's pretty sweet though, autoed and super rare. So
and I think that this was not what did 130 points say on this one?
I tried to pull 130 and I don't know what's going on with it. But I think it was a straight sale. I might be wrong about that. I think it was just sold. I didn't even know if it was the best offer. But I could probably double check that.
Yeah, it seems kind of high. It seems kind of high considering, but if it was, say, Jerry Rice, do you think that 10,000 is about what it would go for?
Yeah, maybe more. I mean, Barry Sanders people love some Barry Sanders.
Wouldn't you put Jerry Rice on the same category as Barry Sanders, or do you think Jerry Rice is
No, I
higher?
think Jerry Rice, some people, consider him the greatest football player of all time. They don't consider Barry the greatest football player of all time, but
I think he's the greatest running back I've ever seen.
yeah, I guess he had that flash, that everybody loved, but he retired early.
Yeah, and if you look at his numbers, I mean, he retired still at the peak of his career. He probably could have played, well, who knows in the NFL, but
I actually was looking at a random one I got. Let me see if I can pull it out real quick. Had a Barry. Yeah, I can't find it. Last game signed ticket. Now, I kind of like that because it was his. He ended it abruptly. So I think it put a little oomph onto it.
Yeah, I remember when he retired. It was something that kind of shocked a lot of people.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know where that ding. Got tickets lying around everywhere. It's like whenever you want to find a ticket, you can't find it. Whenever you don't care, you see it all the time. It's like, oh, here it is. I think I bought this like on a random auction. It's kind of cool. I thought it looked good.
Yeah. But
it's like not auto. The autograph isn't graded. So it's kind of cool. Last game. I liked it. It was like $500. I was like,
so the autograph doesn't have a grade?
No, it just it doesn't have a grade. It's certified. So whoever did it didn't get the autograph grade.
Oh, I see. So you can send in a ticket and they just authenticate it and authenticate the ticket also, or is it?
Yeah, PSA stub authentic, and then the autograph is authentic.
Huh.
It's a super nice ticket, and the auto's super nice. But I never even noticed this. See how he wrote on the back.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well.
It's not there. But you might get a 10 auto.
Yeah. It's cool. It's something I bought like a year ago, but it just made me think of like, oh, the Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the only thing else we tell me about how the top 100 ticket list is moving.
Yeah, update on the top 100. So the list is complete. We have the list. The top 100 is settled. I think we got a total of 33 prolific ticket collectors throughout North America, I would say. Probably 33 of the biggest ticket collectors. Some heavy hitters on this list. In fact, Lenny was the last one to submit to me. So we got the list complete. Now we're working on getting like all the photos and how we're going to present it, maybe the artwork, and we're going to create a new Instagram account that's just dedicated to revealing the list. And so we'll start at 100 and work our way up to number 1. And I think we'll do it every day. We'll reveal one leading on up to, probably June timeframe. We might delay it out because we could kind of delay it out once we get to the top 10, so do like one a week or something like that. But we'll figure that out then. But it'll be a dedicated Instagram account, and then we'll share it from there and see. And then after we're done with it, we can keep the Instagram account going and see, maybe in future years do the same thing and see how things change. And then we'll do the show and we'll talk about, this will be the fun part. Whatever has been revealed since the last time we did a show, we'll spend maybe part of the show just talking about what should be on there, what wasn't on there, what we think, shouldn't have been on there maybe, and then have guests on who want to debate or have opinions based on what we see people say on Facebook and everything about it, and go from there. So that's the plan. But
I like it.
I would say we'll get it started probably in the next couple of weeks.
I'd be a lot of arguments, very controversial. Give me a few thoughts on the overall list itself.
Yeah, I think because I looked and really drilled down on everybody's list, I think it's a great list because I have a better idea of the thought process of everybody who submitted. And some people submitted and it was clear that they put an emphasis on the historic event. Some people put an emphasis on the value of the ticket. Some people, it was clear that they were leaning more towards what's in their own personal collection, which I totally understand. but when we bring them all together as a group, it created a really solid list. I thought, I can't argue with anything on the list. There's some personal opinions I have, obviously, but I have bias, and I would just bring my own bias to the debate when we discuss it. But there's definitely some surprises, and definitely some that I would rephrase. There's definitely a lot of tickets that did not make the list that a lot of people will be upset about. But I'll just leave it at that.
So you can't make everybody happy.
Yep. Yeah. So it's a good list, though. I think I'm looking forward to part of the reason why I want to do the Instagram account that's dedicated to it, because it'll be a resource that collectors could use who are new to ticket collecting, that want to kind of a guide and where to get started, what to look for, maybe what to collect, maybe it kind of gives you an idea of what the community is interested in, how they view it. And so it'll be something that people can reference just for fun. And then we can continue to promote it if we see sales of certain tickets on the top 100, and we can talk about them on the Instagram account and all that. So that's the plan. That's the update. It's going well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It'd be fun to see them roll out one by one and get people fired up, because people get pretty passionate when they think a ticket should be highly ranked and they see it at rank 98.
Yeah. I think I'll just say this. There is one, I think it's number 99 or 100, that a lot of people will think should have been a lot higher. But
David asked, where does the $100,000 JFK ticket rank? Unfortunately, this is only sports tickets.
Just sports, yeah. So although that didn't stop several people from including non-sports tickets.
Yeah, we kind of had to decide, once you start bringing in other things, we just wanted to do a sports ticket one, and maybe one day we'll do a non-sports or a concert ticket one.
Yeah, concert, music, that kind of thing. But that's a different world.
Yeah.
And the other note is that, and I know that, obviously soccer is huge, ticket collecting is huge in overseas, but this doesn't really. This is mainly North America focused. So
I'm sure if you went to more Canadian collectors, you'd see more hockey, things that we haven't thought of. So it's very U.S. North American based ticket collectors. Yeah, I'm sure if you did one in the UK, oh my gosh, soccer would be what, 80 out of the 100?
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe they can do one.
Yeah, they should do it. Yeah, they will see that and probably get ticked and be like, we're doing our own list. And next thing you know, it's going to be random soccer dudes I've never heard of. And like, more power to you.
Yeah. It'd be fun to look at.
Yeah. Well, all right. That's all we have for tonight, unless you have anything else.
That's all I've got.
All right. Well, thanks to everybody for joining. I always forget to say at the beginning, but if you want to follow us on YouTube, you can follow that link that we post on Instagram, and maybe I should put it up on our site or on the YouTube show itself. But thanks again. And hopefully we'll be back next week, possibly with Justin, possibly with Lenny. Got more things we can talk about, but be looking forward to it.
Yep. All right. Cool.
All right. Have a good one.
See ya.
See ya.